how your first quarter is going. So with that, let's get started. Just a quick background about me. I am a technology entrepreneur. I am a dedicated dental spouse, DDS. I'm married to a dentist, and I got into this because I saw my wife struggle with fee schedules and business opportunities within the dental practice. And this was about 12 years ago. So it's been a very nice long journey, and in understanding and helping the dental industry. Prior to that, I was with Intel Corporation. I worked there for 8 years, worked with National Institutes of Health in healthcare informatics, as well as major pharmaceutical giants in helping with the new drug application and information processing. I'm a continuing education provider, and for all those who are participating in this webinar, you can get 1 CE unit with the PACE and AGD. All you need to do is to make sure that you send us an email at info@sikkasoftware.com, and my team will make sure that they type up this information for you in the little text box which you will see on the right hand side of your screen. So Sikka Software has built the largest pricing database in the industry. We can tell you how your fee schedules are doing down to 5-digit zip codes. There is no other company which can do that, and we give you that information for your zip code for absolutely free because you are participating in this webinar. So all you need to do is, again, just let us know, and we'll be happy to send you all 400-500 procedure code information for your zip code fee schedules for absolutely free. We have over 10,000 real-time installations which are collecting opt-in benchmarking data, which I will share with you. We have built adapters to all financial and practice management systems, so we can seamlessly read from Dentrix, SoftEnd, EagleSea Dental, Mogo, PracticeWorks, you name it. And these are great companies. Our programs work in conjunction with them. We don't replace them. We start where they stop, and we layer right on top of those programs to give you some amazing business intelligence, fee optimization, marketing, research, and return on investment. We have some great partners who are in our ecosystem, as you can see, working with, starting from American Dental Association, AGD, Henry Schein, Dentsply, Midmark, Bright Squid, Transworld Systems, and many others, including Dental Economics and more. So let's look at the dental industry today. The average annual net income for a general practitioner has actually dropped from 2006 to now. In a few moments, I will share with you some of the newest data coming from the benchmarking studies that we are doing, which nobody else has. So I'm glad that you are part of this webinar. You'll be able to see that data. In 2011, a national survey reported that 40% of dentists say that they're not busy enough. However, overall, we are in a good industry. It is expected to nearly double in the next decade, partly because of the baby boomer population, which is now retiring, growing recognition of the importance of dental care, and increase in the disposable income. Again, there's almost $4 trillion available in spending money in this particular age demographic. And you know, the dental industry has an opportunity to take the lion's share of that spending money, because people care about how they look. People care about their teeth. They care about their smile. They care about the fact that they use whitening, and they are aware of the cosmetic nature of the dental treatments. In addition to being aware of hygiene, we are at some of the best hygiene ratios in all time in terms of number of people who are visiting the dentists for hygiene appointments. Dental practices are acting more and more as the frontline defense of healthcare. People visit their dentists more often than they visit their physicians. In 2010, practice collections increased, patient visits increased, and the gross production increased. That's awesome news considering that 2008 was one of the worst years from the industry perspective and economy perspective. So as I had promised you, I will share with you some of the newest available data on national trends. So I'm going to share with you class 2 data. This is class 2. So if you are working in a dental office, you know what class 2 is. Class 2 includes everything which is related to direct restorations. So let's go to the next one. So we are going to see some of the data, for example, anterior composites. Now, if you don't know what anterior composites are, we can send you the description of what they are. We are happy to do that. But let me just explain what this data shows. So the blue line is a year ago, last 6 months, and the red line is the last 6 months. So for example, if you look at if you put your attention to the bottom right hand side of this graph, you will see January. That January for the red line was the last month. So it was 2014 January. So when you're looking at the red line, you're seeing August 2013 to January 2014. That's the last 6 months. When you look at the blue line, you look at the year ago last 6 months. So that will be August 2012 through January 2013. So when you see January, you're comparing this past January of 2014 to 1 year ago January of 2013. I hope that makes sense. So you can see how anterior composites were actually lower. And this is data coming from over 9,800 practices. This is a very sizable set of dental industry. Nobody has this information as detailed as we do. Posterior composites were also down. So if I look at this graph, it tells me that January, this last January, was not as good as the January a year ago. Amalgams, same thing. And I know dental practitioners are slowly moving away from amalgams because of all the news and everything that surrounds mercury. But again, we see that there was a drop. Total direct restoration had the same exact effect. It was down. Do you see what is happening? The trend that is showing up here? Although December was slightly higher, January was actually lower than a year ago. 3 to 4 surface direct restorations were also down. So we haven't started 2014 with a bang. Let me just put it this way. That's really the message here that I'm trying to convey to you. Reflects in 3 to 4 surface indirect restorations also. Now crowns, we were actually about the same. So now what are these numbers that I'm showing you? These numbers are average number of crowns done by a practice in 1 month. That's what these numbers are. I hope that is clear. And I'm going to take a quick pause here before I jump back into our main presentation so that we can take any questions. So if you need to ask a question, just feel free to type it on the top right hand side of your information box, and I'll be happy to answer those. We'll wait for another 30 seconds to see if there are any questions. Okay, so let's look at some data which is again reflective of what's happening in the industry. It seems that there is a question. The question was, how often, what's the frequency of our data sampling? The data that I'm sharing with you is available for as recent as this morning. So let's look at analysis of the financial crisis. You know, we all know that 2008 and 9, all the way up to 2010 were tough years. So I wanted to share how the practice collections and disposable income tracked. When you look at the graph here, you will see that the practice collections were just behind the disposable income per capita. So the orange line is the practice collections, and blue line is the disposable income. You can see that as the disposable income went up, leading from 2007 to 8, the practice collections went up. As the disposable income started to drop, the practice collections dropped mildly, but they were about a year behind in really seeing the bottom. And so that's really how we know the dental industry. Dental industry responds slightly later behind the drop in economy. And partly because people have benefits and people keep using their benefits for longer. So the dental industry doesn't see the impact of crisis about a year after it has really hit. And then the same applies to recovery. So the recovery is always a year behind, because as people are getting into the workforce, slowly as they are getting integrated into it, then the dental benefits and treatments and start to become relevant, and they start to go from needs-based to want-based dentistry. What this shares with you is how the patient visits reflected as per the gross production per visit. Now, gross production per visit is the orange line, which is the the line that you see with square boxes, and blue is the patient visits. So as you can see that 2011 practices had already started to work very hard on increasing the gross production per visit. So even though we saw the number of patient visits were down, the gross production per visit was higher. So practices were making extra effort to make sure that all the patients who do show up, they were making sure that the appropriate amount of diagnosis is being done, and they can do as best as they can to make sure that the treatments are completed on the same visit. And that makes sense, because in a situation like that, you want to be as opportunistic as possible. Until now, when you can see a slight increase in gross production per visit, but the number of patient visits have really gone up. The next one is doctors' gross production and hygiene gross production. Now, the source of data in this case is Sikka software. And you can see how the doctor's gross production is tracking slightly on a lower trend in 2010, and then it started to catch back up into 2013. And that's, again, because of the elective nature of many procedures that is being done by the doctor, whereas hygiene is typically paid by the insurance company and it's fully covered, and so you don't see that significant a drop in the hygiene production. Okay, the next one actually shares with you how the new patients and patient visits were tracking. Now, what you see here are the number of new patients as a percentage of total patients for the year compared to patient visits. You will see that the patient visits were dropping, but the number of patients coming in as a percentage of total patients, new patients coming in, was holding steady. We all know that Affordable Care Act is actually adding to more population of the United States which has dental coverage, even if it is through the Medicare, etc. But 65% of the US population has dental coverage, and partly because of the fact that we ignore dental treatments and regular care, almost 42% of ER visits are a result of toothache. We are now seeing significant growth in analytics in the US hospitals, and we are expecting that the same result is going to follow in dental industry. What analytics do is improve clinical quality and effectiveness, reduce healthcare costs, and help you make more informed decisions. So start the year off right. You are into the first quarter. We are past the first 2 months. You need to make sure that you have set goals, you're using the best possible technology, you're using business intelligence systems. If you are not started to use the cloud, you should, because it gives you an ability to keep backups. It gives you an ability to access information from anywhere, and it gives you a level of performance which is now approaching almost as much as good as what you would anticipate from systems which are sitting in premise. Now, I don't mean to say that you should switch your practice management systems to the cloud immediately. That's your choice. Many situations that we have seen recently are the practice management system, the bulk of image processing and everything else that you need to do with your digital x-rays, digital scans, etc., is still not as good in performance from the cloud as it is from the premise-based systems. So I would suggest that you use systems such as Practice Optimizer, Patient Homepage, and others, which layer on top of your practice management systems, even if your practice management system is on-premise. The other thing that I wanted to highlight for you is you need to really increase your patient relationship. Now, just to dwell a little bit more on that, patient relationship, it does not mean just when the patient sits in the chair. It starts much before that. It starts when the patient first comes to know about you, or looks at an ad, or makes a phone call and speaks with one of your team members. Patient relationship is also social. More and more patients are discovering us on the social networks. There is a sea change happening in how patients perceive information. Patients are looking at information from a timeliness perspective and peer group perspective much more than date accuracy perspective. So patients would prefer to talk to their friends about their ailment as opposed to call you and ask you questions. And if you're not responding to them quick enough, if you don't have communication with them, then they will actually get more frustrated because they are used to connecting electronically with their service providers, whether it's banks, whether it's filing taxes, we are coming up on tax season, whether it is dealing with the county. People are actually doing all of this online more and more. Even with government agencies, people are dealing more and more online. So when we do all of that online, why should our relationship with our care provider not be online? So patient portal, if you're not using a patient portal, I suggest you start using a patient portal. So technologies play a strong role in dental practice. Now, many of you who are listening to this know what I'm talking about when I say technology. Use the most recent version of your practice management system. Use the best available technologies in your dental practice. For example, digital x-rays. For example, if you have an opportunity to, some people blow up out of proportion this whole concept of going paperless. I really don't think going paperless means that you have to get rid of every single shred of paper that's in your practice. Going paperless really means that you should have the ability to access the information that you want from anywhere without having to go into your practice and open a chart. So, but that does not mean that you cannot have some notes or paper that you are using inside your practice. So, you should use technology from an advantage perspective. Don't let it become a burden. If you don't have backup systems, you got to use backup systems. And you don't want to use old-fashioned tape backup systems. Use online cloud backup systems if you can. Patient care is a combination of connecting with the patient, communicating with the patient, projecting an image of what you want the patient to know about you, and providing care. To stay competitive, you should be aware of the real-time nature of data. You need to understand how your practice is doing. Not when your accountant tells you 3 months later that your hygiene is dropping off, or your production is trailing, or your expenses are going up, overhead is increasing. You need to track this on a daily basis if you can. And I don't mean to spend hours and hours of your time on this. I just want you to look at it on a 5-minute basis if you can. So focus on key performance indicators of your practice. Focus on national benchmarking. Figure out where other practitioners are. Practice monitoring allows you to view revenue boosting opportunities. One of the areas that you really want to focus on is business intelligence. And that ties in with data analytics, as I was outlining. Our research has shown that if you use these successfully, you can increase your practice's revenue with by about more than $50,000. As a matter of fact, we have never seen a practice make less than $50,000 if they used our Practice Optimizer. So continuing forward, What are the benefits to your practice of using business intelligence and data analytics? You can become more cost efficient, you can attract new patients, you can identify new business opportunities, you can improve your decision making, you can increase your resource utilization and improve your customer satisfaction. It all ties in together. Remember, your patients are always evaluating you. It's a patient relationship is a 4-quadrant business. There are patients who love your service and who love your team. In other words, they are in love with coming to your practice, in addition to loving the fact that you give them good product and service. Those are what I would call as patients who are your most loyal, best patients. Then there are patients who will give you a second chance because they love you, but they didn't like the service that you provided. And this can happen on an appointment by appointment basis. Then there is a group of patients who don't love your practice, who don't love your team, but who are there because you are providing them that service and nobody else's. And those are what I would call as patients who would run away the moment they get somebody else providing that service. And then there is a fourth group of people who don't love you and who didn't love the service that you provided. And those are what I call as saboteurs. Those people will tell 10 others that they didn't like the service that you provided. And that's really how 4 quadrants of patient relationship are. So business intelligence and data analytics, patient relationship, these are all successful strategies to help you thrive under the new market conditions. And I'm going to continue sharing with you some more information about this. Use internal data to provide valuable insights and guidelines for your business. Understand how your practice management system is being used. If you want, give a training seminar to your team members on use of practice management system, because the better they capture reference information, referrals, the better off you are in understanding the return on investment on the different marketing that you're doing. Business intelligence uses reports, performance monitoring, data mining, benchmarking, and dashboards. If you are having to input data manually to generate your dashboards, you got to get away from that. You want to have automatically created dashboards so that you don't have to spend time in creating data which will feed into your dashboards. All of these things will help you with new revenue as well as reducing costs. So in summary, the next 2 slides, I wanted to talk to you about the 3 main angles of business intelligence: influencing financial performance, increasing patient satisfaction, and participating in the data revolution, which is really happening right now and helping people focus on real-time monitoring of KPIs, business reporting, and financial optimization. So reporting, what kind of reports are useful to you? Profit and loss, return on investment reports, as I briefly mentioned with marketing. Trend analysis, the most common graphs. The reason we see all the Wall Street analysts are focused on looking at trends is because trends are the best way for humans to visualize information. Line charts or trend charts, as they are called, are the best way you can understand how your performance is improving or not growing. And so you need to use trend analysis, you need to use recommendations, you need to use procedure analysis, understand which procedures are making you the most money. You should look at benchmarking, understand where you are clinically and from a business perspective and where others are. You should identify areas of improvement using benchmarking. And finally, if you have not done this, do your fee optimization. You need to focus on analyzing and optimizing your fees to maximize your profits. So the business intelligence pros and cons are, pros are reducing cost and increasing efficiency, improving your control and connection with your patients, improving your profits and reducing overheads, improving your clinical and financial performance, and identifying new business opportunities. What are the cons? Well, anytime you read data from other systems, there are possible problems with data accuracy or data integrity. If you don't know, or if you are not using tools which simplify your life, they will make your life more complicated. More data is not necessarily good. More data is not a reducing situation. It's increasing the clutter. So you would like to use tools that help you really reduce the data impact in your life. And of course, your team might be fearful of change. So one of the things that I wanted to mention is the Practice Optimizer, which is the best business intelligence tool that's available in the market. We have seen other companies, large ones, copy the Practice Optimizer features, and it's flattering, but we are the leader, and we are still continuing to grow. We have over 5,000 installations of Practice Optimizer, and we are the industry leaders. For participating in this particular webinar, you will actually get the Practice Optimizer. You can get it for 3 months for $1,500, and you can do the first quarter analysis as well as the last year analysis, and you can probably add about $10,000 to $15,000 in your revenue just by using it for 3 months, because we have never seen a practice make $50,000 as a direct result of using it in 1 year. So remember, to optimize is to make as perfect, effective, or functional as possible. I mentioned earlier on, if you have updated your fees, that's great, but if you have not, I want you to look at how fees in your region are comparing to your fees. Look at where others are for different procedure codes that you do. If you are a specialist, it applies to you as well. If you are a general dentist, you have way larger number of procedure codes than specialists, but you need to optimize your fees. Now, people ask me all the time, well, hey, if insurance companies are not going to increase my fees, why should I be increasing or aligning my fees? The answer is you need to align your fees so that the fee data that you're submitting to the insurance company, which includes your office fee schedule, is constantly updating the insurance company database so that overall 80th percentile, which is the UCR, the usual, customary, reasonable, is improving. So overall, the dental industry continues to improve if you make sure that your fee schedules are the most optimal. Now that said, aligning and optimizing your fees directly increases your profitability because it does not add any overheads. It goes straight to your bottom line. Remember to customize your fee schedule to you and how you practice, not just the zip code. As a dentist, the way you practice determines your profitability. And I have used this example many times. Two dentists practicing side by side. One of them spends 90 minutes to do a crown, the other one 45. The first one uses expensive labs. The other one uses moderate price labs. The first one does it all himself. The other one has his assistant do temporaries and fittings. If they both price their crown at $900, say from some fee table, guess who is making money and who is not? The one who is spending 90 minutes is probably losing money. The one who is spending 45 may be making money. So the point is, it's how you practice which determines your profitability. It's not where you practice. Within 5 square miles of Beverly Hills, I personally know a dentist who charges $3,000 for a crown and another dentist who charges $300 for a crown. And they both make money. How, you will ask? Well, the one who is doing $3,000 is catering to the rich and famous, but who are also very picky. And his brother-in-law has a lab right in his basement, so he can have as many redos as necessary, and he spends tons of money on redos and color matching, whereas the one who is spending $300 actually gets his crowns done in China. And I don't mean to say that as a low price option. I mean, that's his choice, that's what he uses, but he actually gets them done economically, and he processes it like an assembly line. He's very efficient, and the way he does it is quick. So for $300 he makes money. So that's the point of, it's not the fee and the price, it's the way you practice which determines your profitability. So as a dentist, you want to read data from your practice management system on procedure codes, frequency, revenue, time units, your current fees. Then you want to compare where others are from your local, county, lab, salaries perspective, and then that's what determines your optimization of fee schedule. We have improved the programs that we build significantly. We have identified areas where you can focus. We have identified target profiles. So for example, we can tell you exactly how you can go from 1.5 million to 1.75 million if that's what you want to do. And the reason is, of the 10,000 installations that we have analyzed the data, and we have figured out what is the characteristic of a dentist who is producing 1 million a year, and what's the characteristic of the dentist who's producing 1.5 million a year, and what's the characteristic of the dentist who's producing $500,000 a year. And when we look at all of this, and when we look at all of the perspective of the practice, how many hygienists, how many operatories, how many new patients, how many active patients, what procedure codes, what fee schedules, we are able to tell you exactly how you can go from your current profile to the next profile. And that is what we use in goal setting in our program. Now, if you don't like that, you can also set your own goals. You can say, no, I don't want to be going in this target profile that Sikka software has built. Instead, I would like to go 15% higher than my previous year's goals. And that's okay. You can do that too. Then the programs track this on a regular basis. They tell you how you are doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and with red and green lights, red if there is a problem, green if things are okay. And that's what you can see here. So you have a constant tracking of how your practice is doing on different areas. You can get daily and weekly reports. Now, this is an interesting feature that we implemented in our programs. I want to share this with you. I want to spend maybe 10 more seconds with you on this. One of the biggest fears that we have as doctors is, what happens if I go to my practice and half of my schedule has fallen apart? What if there are gaps and holes in my schedule? How will I use that? My time is worth $500 an hour, and I am sitting here and I have no patients that I can treat, I can work on. To address that, what we did was we built this function called Patients Now. And this is a registered trademark that we have. Patients Now. What Patients Now does is it goes inside your practice management system. It searches smart lists of patients that you can bring to your practice immediately. So for example, find me all of my patients who had scaling root planning but have not come in for perio maintenance. Now, perio maintenance is something that most insurance companies pay for, and it gives you higher production than a pro fee. And every patient who had scaling root planning should come in for a perio maintenance. That's the standard of care. So the program pulls this out automatically, and in this practice, there's 259 patients who meet that criteria. Look at the number 4, item number 4 on this list, which says, find me all patients who are 4341 and who have not come in for 4910. So now, with one click, the program will actually let you send text messages and emails to these patients. There is no system out there which will let you do this in such an automated fashion. You will have to manually go through all of your patients, figure out which one had scaling root planning, and then go and identify each ones who you can bring to your practice for perio maintenance. And this is another very powerful report that I suggest you run. And if you don't use our system, that's okay. You should try to run this manually calculated. You can use an Excel sheet, you can use paper and pen, whatever way makes sense to you. If you would like us to tell you the formulas, we will be happy to tell you those formulas for again, no cost to you. This is just our service to the dental industry. But you need to look at comprehensive exams to new patients. You need to look at collection to production. You need to look at total no-shows to total patients appointed. Average daily actual production to average daily scheduled production. Overheads to total collection. That's what determines first step of the success report. The second is total patients referral to total active patients. How many of your patients are actually referring you to other patients? Total insurance claim pending. How good and how effective is your insurance department? Total unique patients treatment plans scheduled to total unique treatment plans created. Again, how effective is your treatment plan coordinator? And finally, the fee schedule optimization that I shared with you earlier. So that's an example of how you can use business intelligence to your advantage. Again, everything that I have talked about here, key lessons, how to thrive in the dental industry today. As you focus your efforts on ending Q1 at the best possible note and starting Q2 very soon, within the next 1 month, with the biggest momentum that you can, you need to remove financial barriers. You need to focus on phased treatment. You need to improve your marketing efforts, analyze your practice, and go after reactivating inactive patients. So you have two options. You can continue doing business in the same way and hope for a change, or you can be proactive and find new ways to thrive under the market conditions. So with that, I'm actually going to just quickly summarize the benefits of cloud-based systems. Remember, cloud-based systems deliver faster and better ROI. They don't require upfront capital outlay. They reduce the total cost of ownership. They require less technical resources, and they allow you seamless integration with your practice. I'm going to take a quick pause here and see if there are any questions. Okay, so we are now going to look at something that I briefly discussed called patient-practice relationship. As I said, the relationship with the patient starts way before they sit in the chair. We are in an era of patient empowerment, and in this era, patients are slowly weaning away from dependence on doctors for health information and advice. And according to a recent study, accessibility and convenience is more important than accuracy of information. And as I said, patients get frustrated quickly if they don't get access to their doctors. Patients is really the way to go. Kaiser has a great success story in that almost 50% of their patients are patient portal users. But you don't have to be an industry titan to realize the benefits of a patient portal. We have a patient homepage, and if you're not using patient homepage or a patient portal system, you absolutely should try out the patient homepage. And you can ask my team how to get information about this. It's the best patient portal out there. It is secure. It complies with HIPAA and high-tech requirements, which are going to hit your practice within the next 1 year. Patients can obviously communicate with you. It's a two-way ultimate patient reminder and a patient portal. If you are looking for mobile apps, we have some mobile applications which help you fill gaps in your schedule. And I'm just going to go to a couple of webinars which are coming up. And of course, if you are participating in today's webinar, we'll keep you updated on more webinars which we are releasing. There are webinars which we are doing in February. There is a webinar we are doing tomorrow. But then there are also more webinars which we will be doing in March. So stay tuned. And we pick different areas, different topics, and we focus on what is relevant, what is important to the dental industry. Don't go to that. So we'll actually stop here at this point, and I'll wait for any more questions, and we'll wrap up within the next 2 or 3 minutes. If you are interested in using the Practice Optimizer or the patient homepage, feel free to write an email to sales@sikkasoftware.com, and we'll be happy to help you out. If you need a copy of this presentation, please write to info@sikkasoftware.com, and we'll be happy to provide you that information. With that, I wanted to thank everyone, each and every one of you, to participate in this webinar, and you took your time out of your busy schedules, and we are grateful. Thanks, and God bless.